In this video, I'll show you how to make your AI voice agent offer more valuable. We'll build an automated system that gets extra reviews for your clients without them doing any extra work. Reviews are one of the fastest ways for businesses to get more calls and win more jobs. And since it's so easy to implement, you can bundle this with your existing AI voice agent offer and increase what you charge. So we'll just jump straight into it here. So I'm going to first give you an overview of how the system works, and then we'll go through step by step how to set this up. And I'll be giving you all of the NA10 templates and everything that you need to get this set up for yourself. So we actually have two workflows, and I'll explain why in just a second. So this is the first workflow. So what we're basically doing here is keeping track of when jobs are finished. And then once the job has been marked as done, then we trigger this flow where we're basically just sending the customer an SMS asking for a review. And then we send them a link as well so that they can go directly to the Google page and leave a review straight from there. And then we have a separate workflow, and the reason we have this is so that we can track when they've actually clicked on the link. So you'll see in the first flow that there are two Twilio nodes, and that's because we want to send them a follow-up if they haven't left a review yet after 24 to 48 hours. But we want to be able to track whether or not they've actually clicked on the link, because if they've already clicked the link and left a review, we don't want to bother them with another follow-up SMS asking for a review again. Whereas if they have not clicked on the link yet, then we want to just send that gentle follow-up to try and nudge them to leave a review. So that's why we have two workflows. And I'll explain how they kind of interlink with each other in just a few minutes. So to begin with, to get this set up for yourself, you're going to go in the description. I've left the NA10 templates for you to download. So all you would need to do is download the first one, okay, name it Auto Review Capture, and you could just upload or import from file and just paste it in. And this is what you'll be left with, okay? So you'll see that the trigger node is a Google Sheets trigger. Now, depending on how the client marks their jobs as done, they might use Google Sheets or they might use a different CRM. Okay, you can adjust this to fit whatever needs that you have. But for this example, okay, I'm going to use this demo. So basically these first few columns here don't really matter too much. This would just be, for example, if they keep track of their appointments through Google Sheets. But the main thing here is that we've set up this extra column called job done. And so the idea being that if this was a real customer, once the job has been done, let's say it was for a plumbing business, then once the work has actually been done, the business can come in here and just mark it as done. And then this is going to trigger this flow. So now the flow knows that, okay, the job has been done, and we can then ask for a review. So that's what this trigger here is. So you can go into this and just configure your Google account, make sure that's linked up, and make sure that it's linked to the correct Google Sheet that you want it to take from, okay? Now, you can make sure you change the columns to watch for job done, because we want it to ignore all of this other stuff. It's not really important. And so what's going to happen here is if there was nothing in this row, we would, when the job is done, we would put Y here and update the row, and then that's going to trigger the flow to start, okay? Then what happens is we have an if node. So this is just a bit of a backup, okay? So we just want to make sure that it's equal to Y, because if someone accidentally came in here and added something, and we didn't have that backup, then it might accidentally trigger the flow. So you want to just make sure it matches up with them specifically putting in Y and then hitting enter. Okay. So that's that there. So for the next step, we actually need to set up a separate Google Sheet, and I'm going to show you what you need to add. So if we come over here, you would create a new Google Sheet, and you can call it what you want, but I've just called it Review Tracker. For this example, it'd be like a roofing company. Now you're going to add these two columns, so client_slug and then Google Review URL. So the client slug, all that means is we're just giving each different client we're just giving each different client like a tag so that we can differentiate between different clients, okay? So in this example, let's say the company was called Apex Roofing. We could just put Apex here just so we know which client we're talking about. Then for the Google Review URL, what you would need to do is for that specific business, you need to find the link where if someone clicks on that link, it goes directly to their Google review page. Now, this is pretty simple to set up. You can just take their business URL on Google, you could stick it into ChatGPT, and then you could find the URL that leads to a review page. So for example, this is just a random business I took, for example, but if I was to click on this, it's going to take me straight to the review page of this company here. So that's what you need to find for the business that you're setting this up for. Okay. Now that's in sheet 1, which we're going to name clients. Then we need to set up another sheet, okay, where we have a few different columns. And this will all make sense at the end, so just stick with me here, just follow along. So you're going to set up these columns exactly as they are here. So you can pause this video and just make sure that this all looks the same. Okay. Once you've set up this Google Sheet with these 2 tabs, now you're going to make sure this is named review request, just like this as well. Then you're going to come back to the workflow, and then you're going to set this node up. Okay. So again, make sure it's linked to your account, and then make sure that you've got that Google Sheet that you just set up. And then the first one we're going to use from the list clients. So you'll see that we have clients and review requests. So this is just the 2 different sheets here. So make sure that it's clients. Okay, so for whichever business you're setting this up for, you just make sure that this matches up with the with whatever you put here. Okay, just as a little tag. And that's all you need to set up for that node. So the next thing we need to set up is this set node. Okay, now the first bit here you don't need to touch, but the second part, the click URL, this is what we need to change. Now, what this is basically doing is we're taking the Google review URL and we're editing it so that when the person clicks on it, it actually redirects to our webhook on our second workflow, which we'll go and set up in just a second. And we're just editing the URL so that it goes through our webhook so we can track that it's been clicked, and then it forwards on to the original Google review URL. And you'll see exactly how it works a bit later on. But in order to set this up, what you need to do is go ahead and import the second workflow, which is going to be called review click capture plus redirect. Okay, so again, you just import from file and upload this. Then what you're going to do next, before setting anything up in here, is just come to the webhook, go to production URL, and then copy this. And then what you need to do is change this variable here. And so you're going to copy from HTTPS all the way to just before the question mark where it says rid. Okay, so you'd paste in your own production URL here and leave everything else the same. Okay, so you want to make sure that's done correctly. So again, pause the video. Again, it's from HTTPS all the way to just before the question mark and leave everything else the same. Okay. Now, for the next row, again, make sure it's linked to your account, and we're going to be linking this to the review tracker roofing Google Sheets, and we're going from the review requests sheet this time. Okay, so if you remember, we've got the 2 sheets, so making sure it's linked up to the review request sheet. Then we're going to come in here and just change the client slug to whatever you set this as. And then everything else you can leave the same. So you don't need to touch anything else. You're just making sure it's linked to your account and your Google Sheets, and then making sure you change the client slug. Leave everything else the same. So moving on to the next node. So this is a Twilio node. So this is where we're actually going to send the SMS. So you need to make sure you have your Twilio account set up and linked to N8N. And once that's done, you just need to make sure this is changed to your own phone number that you'll be sending this to. And then everything else you can leave the same. We're just basically taking the phone number from the client. And then this, again, you can edit. So this is basically just the message that we're going to be sending the customer. So it's just a little message saying, hey, thanks for working with us. If you're happy with the work, could you leave a quick Google review? And then what it's going to do is it's going to take the URL that we set up earlier and then just put it into the text. So you'll see how that works later on when we demo this. Okay, so all you can do here is you can just change the message here to whatever you want, but you leave everything else the same. So once that's set up, so that's the SMS sent, and then hopefully they would then click on that and leave a review. But a lot of the times people won't do it the first time. So what we want to do is set up our system in a way where if they don't leave a review after 24 to 48 hours, then we send them another follow-up. So this is where we have a wait node, okay? So in this case, I've got it to a minute just for demo purposes, but in real life, you would set this to maybe 24 hours or even 48 hours just to give them enough time to actually go and complete the review. So you don't need to change much here, just adjust the time interval to whatever you want. Then again, we've got another Google Sheets node here. Pretty straightforward, just make sure it's linked to your account. And we've got the review tracker roofing Google Sheet. And again, we're taking from the review requests sheet. You don't need to change anything else, just make sure it's set up like this. And then we've got an if node. So this is basically where you'll see how this links to the other workflow. But if they've clicked on it and we've tracked that they've actually clicked on the link, then it's going to detect that here. And then if they've not clicked on it, then we're going to send them a follow-up SMS. But if they have clicked on it, then it's just going to basically stop the flow and we'll leave them alone. Okay, because hopefully they would have then left a review and we don't need to bother them again. But if they, like I say, if they haven't clicked on it, then we've got a second SMS. Same thing here. You can just change the message to whatever you want it to be. And then we've got another Google Sheets column where we're just updating it again. So again, making sure it's the review tracker roofing and the review request sheet here as well. Everything else you can leave the same. Now, obviously, in this example, we have 2 total text messages. You could set this up and just basically repeat the last few steps to send a third follow-up if that's what you feel that you want to do. That's fine. But after we've done that, that's the first workflow set up. And we just need to set up the second workflow now, and then we're pretty much done with the entire system. So now we're going to go back to the second workflow that we imported. And as you can see, this is much simpler. So we've already set up the webhook. So now we just come into the first node, which is a Google Sheets node again. And we're basically going to be using the review request sheet again. And you can just leave that as it is. Just make sure it's linked to your account. Then the if node, we don't need to touch, just leave that. But basically what we're doing is when they've clicked on the link, it's going to trigger this webhook. And it's going to then basically update the sheets to say, oh, they've actually clicked on the link. And then that's going to allow us to, after the wait period, get the data from that updated sheet and we can see whether they've clicked on it or not. I think that makes sense. And then you just need to, again, set up your account for the Google Sheets here, again, from the review request sheet. And you can leave everything else the same. You don't need to touch it. And then we just have the respond to webhook node. So if this is basically just an error fallback, you don't need to touch anything here either. Okay, so you can save that. Then what you'll do is hit publish on both of these, make sure these are live, and then we can actually give it a test so you can see how it works. So let's give this a test. So I've gone ahead and changed this to job done. And because this is set to trigger every minute to check for updates, I'm actually just going to And because this is set up to trigger every minute for updates, I'm actually just going to manually execute this. So I've got my phone ready to receive the text. So we should be able to see this in action now. So you can see it should have sent me a text. So we'll just wait for that to come through. And yeah, I've just got a text. So you can see here, it's just a message saying, hey, thanks for working with us. And here's the link. Now, what's happening now is it's waiting to see if we have clicked the link. So I'm actually going to go ahead and click in. And you can see this has redirected me to the Google review page. And this will have then executed this second workflow that we've set up. Okay, so you can see that we've then updated the sheet so that by the time we finish waiting, we can then see if I've clicked on the link. And so because I've clicked on it, it should then go down the false path and not send me a follow-up. So we'll just wait for the minute to pass. Okay, so the minute has now passed and it's gone ahead, and you can see that because it's detected that I've clicked the link, it's then not going to send me a follow-up. So if I hadn't clicked on the link, it would have gone down the true path because it would have never triggered this, and then it would have sent us a follow-up text. And again, I've put it as a minute here for demo. In reality, you would want 24 to 48 hours. So that's pretty much the entire setup. I hope that wasn't too confusing. I know there's a lot of moving parts here. But essentially, you can just follow along with this video and download the N10 templates and just copy and paste this. And you just need to make those small changes that we made together. So I hope that makes sense. One last thing I will just say is that we do need the phone number here without any plus signs, because it needs to know what phone number to send the message to. So obviously, if you imagine this is a real client's CRM, we would have had them booked in for an appointment, and then this would have updated all of the fields here, including their phone number. And then that's what we're going to use when we trigger this review capture workflow to know which phone number to send it to. I hope that makes sense. I hope that was useful. I hope that was valuable. This is a really nice way. I mean, you can see we set this up in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And this is just going to make your offer for your AI voice agent so much more valuable because you can basically sell it to the client like, hey, we're going to build you this voice agent, but also we're going to be able to automatically capture more reviews for your business. And that's going to help with their Google local service area ads. Now, obviously, in this example, we've used Google reviews, but you could swap this out if they want the reviews on their website or somewhere else. That's totally doable. The exact same thing applies. You would just adjust the URL to whatever URL you want to send the customer to, basically. So I hope that makes sense. I will see you in the next one.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.